Where are we right now? On the top of Mount Bental. And what do we see? If this is a mountain, and there's a mountain over there. There's a higher mountain on the other side. It's called Mount Hermon. Hermon in Hebrew, the highest mountain in Israel. 6,700 feet above sea level. So Mount Hermon, and the mountain here, and the mountain Mount Bental, and Mount Avital, and Mount Perez, and so on. Those are the geographic barriers that we talked about. Okay? Mount Bental overlooking Syria. Where is the border between Israel and Syria? In our perspective, wherever it is the border, the official border, if this is the border, we will build and plant up to here. Remember ownership? Remember showing that this is the land? You remember planting a tree? If this is the border, we will plant until the end. Wherever you see green, wherever you see cultivated fields, crops, this is Israel. The minute you see barren hills, the reservoir, and this ghost town, this is Syria. Okay? Follow me with my finger. This mountain here, Mount Avital, is another Israeli bunker. Over there, it's an active bunker. We cannot visit over there, and if I will tell you what we have there, I have to kill you later. But it's not, I would say, as it looked like, and I cannot say more. Do you see over there, there's like a camp with white buildings. This is the United Nations camp. By the way, sometimes when I bring group from Canada, there's always someone say, hey, I know someone from Canada that came here and stayed in that camp, the United Nations camp. Okay? Then you see the cultivated fields and said, this is Israel. What do we have here? Vineyards, plums, cherries, lychee. Someone know what lychee is?
Yeah, it's a nut.
Around here. Then you see the ghost town of Quneitra. What is a ghost town? Because after 1967, they were afraid to live closer to the border. You see the idea? We want to live up to the border. They were afraid to live next to the border. Did we attack Quneitra once? Not even once. You know why they are afraid? It's all about education. When you teach your kids that the Jews in Israel are devils, and they want to come, and they will conquer the land, and they took the land of Palestine, and they took the Golan Heights, and next day they will come to take your land, this is what they teach. So nobody wants to stay in that place because they are afraid. So they moved. By the way, in the beginning, the Syrians forced them to come back. But they left, so they forced their generals or the officers in the army to live in Quneitra. And they left. So eventually they decided to build the new Quneitra. You see over there, there's another city? Yeah. That's the new Quneitra. And again, Damascus is only 40 miles from here. On a clear day, but the thing, the big reservoir, the small reservoir and the big reservoir are already Syria. 1967, Israel took the Golan Heights in one single day. You know what happened here after 1967? The euphoria. We are the strongest nation in the world. We have the best air force in the world. Every soldier is a great leader. Every officer can eat for free in a restaurant. Moshe Dayan, he's like, woo! Families said, well, now when we have the land, we multiplied 3 times the land of Israel. We had Sinai, the West Bank, the Golan Heights, 3 times bigger. Suddenly families started to say, well, now when we have land and opportunities, we can have more kids. We will have Ronen. The euphoria was everywhere. In business, in the culture, in the economy, in fields, in archaeology, in history. Some people thought that's another step before the redemption. This is it. God showed us his strength in the 1948 war. Now he's showing his strength in 1967 war. Hey, it's coming. This euphoria caused us a big deal 6 years later. In 1973, on October 6th, it was Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. What are we doing on Yom Kippur? Nothing. What are we doing on Yom Kippur? Fasting. Praying in synagogues. Don't go to work. No television. No radio. Nothing in the street. If Shabbat is silent, Yom Kippur is silent. This is the time for you and God. When you were in the army at that time, officers said, okay, soldiers, go home. This bunker, instead of 80 soldiers, they said, well, 20 is enough. Over there, you don't need so many soldiers. The euphoria is nothing can go wrong. But it was Saturday, October 6th, Yom Kippur War. The Syrians and the Egyptians attacked in the same time, 2 o'clock. Now there are sirens in the street. So there's no radio, no television, so you think, well, it's probably a mistake. Then, okay, they told you 4 hours you need to go to that certain point, but there's no public transportation on Yom Kippur, and then there is no phone. Oh, which one I should call? What do I need to do? And that day that was supposed to be getting closer to God, and that became like a day of mass. People had no idea what's going on. And what happened is that the Egyptians and the Syrians attacked in the same moment, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, not many soldiers were here. They were surprised. The Syrians attacked the whole place. They almost reached the Sea of Galilee again. The thing about the Israeli army, the strength of the Israeli army, is the reserve. But we need for that time, we need to make sure that all the people that stay home right now, they are cold and have that uniforms. That's why I said we need that 4 hours to be ready for our next battle. But the first hours of that war were so critical that the Syrians and also the Egyptians moved forward. One story that I wanted to share with you. There was a guy, his name was Tzvika. Tzvi means deer in Hebrew. Tzvika, it's kind of a nickname. By the way, most of the Israelis will have a name and a nickname. Ronen will be called Ronen. Tzvi became Tzvika. Tzvika Bernstein realized that all the bunkers were controlled by the Syrians, even this one. The Syrian tanks moved all over. Every time, as an officer, every time that he sent a tank to a certain place, the Syrian brought army over there and destroyed the tank. He realized that the Syrians are listening to his radio. Wherever he sent forces, the Syrians go there. So, Tzvika decided to send the Syrians to different places in the area. And he said, Power Tzvika, send 12 tanks to this side. Send 14 tanks to this side. Send 16 tanks to here. Send 20 tanks to over there. The Syrians had no idea, but they were spread over there to different places. No one was there. He was one guy with one radio, but he stopped the Syrians with this. With this. All we need in a war is a little bit of time to be ready for the next attack. He stopped the Syrians. Literally, he stopped the Syrians. And when the forces of the Israelis came a few hours later, they could give the answer. In 1973, we lost 3,000 casualties. That's out of 3 million citizens. In 1948, we lost 6,000 soldiers out of 600,000 people, 1% of the population. Just to give you an idea, casualties in Israel, almost every person in Israel lost a member of his family in a war. Our Independence Day, just before the Independence Day, we have a Memorial Day. Because you cannot celebrate Independence Day without understanding that you celebrate that day, but you need to remember. How many times the word remember is? You need to remember those people that gave their life to protect this land. Personal story. My father was 40 years old in 1973, and he was in Sinai. His officer came to him and said, "David, you need to go home. It's Yom Kippur, you should go home." And my father said, "No, let me stay with my buddies, with my friends." And he said, No, you're 40, you could go home, you have a little baby at home, Ronen. My father didn't want to go home, he wanted to stay with his friends. But he came back home. Most of his friends died in that battle. My father for years felt guilty why he abandoned them. I know. But think about the relationship between people here. How it's important to stay together. How is your friend that stayed with you in a tent when you were 18 and still is your friend when you're 25 or 30 or 40, this is the someone that you want to trust when you go to war. How important friendship, how important to protect your land. You see those kids here, why they are here?
To remember.
You need to follow on the footsteps of your ancestors, your fathers, to remember. Remember and learn. Learn and protect. You can't just say to someone, "Okay, you're 18 years old, this is your rifle, come, go and fight." It doesn't work like that. They need to go to Masada and understand why they are fighting. They need to go to Jerusalem, to the Temple Mount, to understand why they are fighting. They need to come here to the Golan Heights to understand they need to protect the land. If you don't understand it with your hand, you're not going to practice that later. Memorial and understanding, and everything is of course connected to the Bible, to the promise to Abraham. Is that the promised land? Is that the place where people live? This is where we found synagogues. This is your nation. If you're going to lose that, you're going to lose the rest. Golan Heights is very important to the Israelis. I don't think we're going to give it back. I don't want to give it back. I don't think the Syrians should take it back. We need to give it, not just this place, but other places in Israel. Why it's so important for us. Why it's so important for a free world that we will control this place.